From end development footage leaked early, to having its announcement trailer leaked early, to having Midori being non-stop infinite leaking things, Persona 3 Reload came to be. A remake of Persona 3 that focused strangely on remaking the original Persona 3, but still includes content aspects from FES and Portable, just not the things that FES and Portable are, kind of known for. Now, Persona 3 Remake has actually been something that I've seen the fans want for years, especially after Persona 3 Dancing on Moonlight came out. But it also shows on Atlas's official survey that apparently Persona 3 Remake was also something very highly requested. Now, they can do the next thing on that survey and handle the first few Persona games. That'd be great. Also, who the hell put Persona 4 that high on that survey? Who are these people? Why are you doing this? The main premise is that there's this hidden hour in the world called the Dark Hour. During this hour, these monsters called shadows appear and start attacking people. Anyone attacked by a shadow will end up succumbing to apathy syndrome, which basically makes a person into this lifeless husk. So the main thing is that you end up playing as a new transfer student to Gekon High, and you end up meeting this group called Seas. Seas is tasked with investigating the Dark Hour by climbing this tower called Tartarus in order to try and figure out why is it there, why is all this happening, and how can this Dark Hour be removed so many people will stop succumbing to this apathy syndrome and people's lives won't be in danger anymore. And despite you being the newest member at the time to join the group, you end up becoming the new leader of the group because you have the ability of the wild card has with multiple personas. And with the multiple personas, apparently trumps the years of experience some of the older members of the group have. While this premise does sound very simple from the start, things do slowly start to more unwrap and things as they start going through the game, and more things end up being added in. So don't be dissuaded if the premise sounds very simple of, oh, just climb a tower and nothing else. Like, don't worry, there's more to come. Just starts out pretty simple. So Gameplay Persona 3 Reload is broken into two different sections. The first section is a social aspect, where throughout your days in the year, you end up going to school, and there you can end up meeting new characters, also characters outside of school, and do their social links. Social links are essentially entire story arcs for these NPC characters who are represented by the Arcana. The reason you want to do them, because one, Persona 3 has some of the best social links in the franchise, and two, by doing them, you also increase the rank and also obtain Arcana bursts, which I'll explain later, but something you really want to do, and if you max out Social Link, you'll also end up unlocking the ability to fuse a powerful persona of the Arcana that character represents. So it's something you want to do. There's also some social links that can only be unlocked after you spend enough time with a different one, so it's best to also kind of spread around who you hang out with, so that way you can have more options on the road. But it's not just that there's social aspects. It's also so you can do like around the Palladium Mall, such as these little arcade machines, to increase your social stats. You need social stats because that'll allow you to hang out other social links. Because some socials require a certain rank in one of these stats, whether it be courage, brains, or charm. It's kind of one of those things that you have to work on to kind of balance it out. Otherwise, you have to be able to just rush your single social in the entire game rapid fire. But there's also other stuff such as arcade games that can increase persona stats. There are also little things you can do like go to different restaurants, buy food, do little challenges, order food, get items. So there's a lot of stuff you can do throughout it. And Reload actually adds more to do during the night, such as you'll also eventually be able to use this computer in the dormitory, which some of the stuff that gives you could be stuff for social stats, but some of the stuff can also help you in the comment section with new abilities. So it's definitely very good to constantly just explore around Tatsumipo Island, just find these cool things you can do, find these cool things you can buy. There's a lot of things you can find around the world to help you out throughout the day, but mostly also help you out throughout the comment section, which I'll say I could get to later. Now, despite the game having social links because I know characters better, a byproduct because of the fact that there's Persona 3 didn't give social links for the male party members, something that Portable did try to rectify with the female protagonist, but she's not in this version, unfortunately. So instead, they have these character links for the male party members, which are kind of like pseudo social links, but instead, these can only be done during after certain moments of the plot. And also, if you miss one of these, let's say you miss one for the character Junpei, you can't go on to the next one, so you definitely want to keep your eye out for when the characters kind of like invite you to something. So something like Junpei actually lets you go do something, it's probably best to prioritize it, especially since you also get upgrades for these characters by doing these things. It's definitely something you really want to do. One aspect I also really like about his character links is the fact that because they're dictated by the plot, it also means that characters can also reference what happened in the plot and recent events, which is something social links can't do. Which also unfortunately kind of includes the social links for the female party members that you can do, because, well, the fact that since social link can be done whenever, as opposed to character links, they can't really, mix the main plot and the character story arc together that much. This was kind of something I wish a future Persona game will do. Instead, have like social links for at least for the party members be more tied to the main plot. Kind of like something that I feel that the other games do, so that's the collective fight to 1 and 2. But also, Yakuza Like a Dragon also have it. Though I know some people don't like it because of the fact that kind of they want to just do a social link ASAP. But also, some people don't like the fact that social links basically feel like their own separate world from the main plot. Why I feel is the best part from Persona 3 Reload is the combat section exploration with Tartarus. So in Persona 3 Reload, you only have one dungeon, Tartarus, which may sound really bad, but hold on, hear me out. So Tartarus is a dungeon that you climb floor by floor. And after the dungeon, you can fight shadows, get treasure chests, break these little breakable objects that'll give you items, or these little twilight fragments, which we'll talk about more about later. But for combat, the original Persona 3 had the one more system, which is when you hit an enemy with a weakness, you get an extra turn called what has the name one more. It also counts for critical hits. Also, original Persona 3, your character is all controlled by AI that you pretty much shifted their personality through a tactic system. But here in Reload, things are done differently. You now have full control over the entire party, and when you hit a weakness hit, you can also later get a mechanic called Shift. Shift allows you to swap the turn to a different party member when you feel like they can handle things better, or you just want that person to act instead. So that's a new mechanic brought in, and you kind of get these little buffs that pretty much allow the character to do more while shifting. Let's say a buff to their attack after a shift. But honestly, I feel like it's not worth the skill slots used for your skills for your personas that you already have. So it kind of feels like kind of a underwhelming thing to add in. Overall, shifting, it's a great addition to this game. I love it. That's more strategy when you're thinking what we character can do. Or let's say we get a critical hit for a character you weren't expecting, and then pass it to a different character who may have the weakness, or you just need to take advantage of it. It's a very nice mechanic, although I wish the passive buff abilities you get to take up a skill slot were more worthwhile, because otherwise I feel like they're not worth taking up the skill slot, especially when you have other passive abilities you can get for a persona. Another new mechanic added into Reload is Theurgy. Now later in the game, you'll start having these meters on next to characters' portraits, where the meters fill up faster if you do certain quirks, but just take an action and will slowly fill it up. Once the meter is full, you're able to choose when the character can pull off a Theurgy skill, which has this big, powerful attack, which can do way more damage than it has any right to do, actually. And it also always goes through resistances. And let's say the attack is actually an attack the enemy is weak against. Oh boy, it can do even more. Especially if you then buff it up with buffs such as using something like Charge, Concentrate, or Tarukaja. And it's like, god damn. The numbers go through the roof. God damn!
Gonna use this. Oh no, this doesn't look good.
Now, Theurgy works a bit differently for the main character. You see, in Persona 3, you already had fusion spells, which require you to have 2 personas that are compatible with a fusion spell in your arsenal. But here instead, just the act of fusing the personas, you don't need to have them on you anymore. Just the act of having fused them before will lock their spell as a Theurgy skill. So they have reduced the number of fusion spells in the game, especially when compared to Persona 3 and FES and Portable, but now these characters are way more useful, and it's in some cases busted, like the one fusion spell I used for the late game, Scarlet Havoc. Scarlet Havoc destroys everything. Buff yourself with Charge and Tarukaja, and Scarlet Havoc annihilates anything and everything. It is kind of busted, and kind of the win button when you're in the mid, so you unlock it, so at the mid part of the game, towards the end of the game. It is way too good and way too powerful. Especially since I highly recommend you play this game on hard mode, because normal mode is way too easy, especially with the additions they added in. I mean, this isn't the easiest Persona game, not by far. Persona 5 Royal still takes that candle, but it does make it a lot easier. Even on hard mode, it'll still be somewhat easy, somewhat easy throughout the mid game and end game as you start getting more powerful. So it's kind of a bit unbalanced in that sense, but there's nothing you can really do about it, unfortunately. Now, before I mentioned for Persona 3 that you actually control your party members before using tactics, not direct control. But here, in Reload and Portable, you do have direct control. And while tactics are an option, ignore they exist because they do not function nearly as well as Persona 3 and FPS handled it. Because some characters will just not use certain abilities like shifting with the tactics. So, just ignore it. So, unfortunately for people who may have wanted to play more the tactic style, it's certainly not an option here. It is not worth using. They've been putting these tactics option for Persona 4 and 5, but even here, it's like same thing. Like those games doesn't work as well as 3 and FPS. So that's kind of unfortunate for people who would have wanted that. Now, one also major drawback into combat is the fact that it is game over if the main character is defeated.
One target left. Finish this.
Are you kidding me?
Get up quickly.
I'm actually so pissed at that.
Hey, hang in there.
Doesn't matter who else is defeated, if the main character is defeated, the game is over. So you need to prioritize keeping them alive and well over all else, which is something I don't like that Persona 3, 4, and 5 kind of do. Because it's kind of this one-terror thing of the idea of, oh, the enemy can't ever be smart, because if the enemy ever thinks, I would just like double up on hitting the main character, oh, they're dead, game over. So like, enemies kind of have to be dumb and try their best to spread out damage to other people, which is why I know some people find it frustrating as the enemies pretty much prioritize the main character, but it's like, it's just a weird system I just don't like that these games do. Like, I don't like game over the main character die. At least put it as an optional thing for Merciless mode, which is actually something that Persona Q games do. I prefer that would be a better option than to just, just having it. I mean, I know it may sound like, oh, once the game's already easy, want to make it easier? Yeah, but there are other ways to make the game more difficult, like not having strategy skills be busted right off the bat. Tartarus also has special forms that can appear, where sometimes maybe the enemies will have the shadows will have this condition on them, or they'll start to battle with the condition, or they'll start being more aggressive and chasing you down in Tartarus. But you also have special forces that sometimes it'll be lights out, and when you can't see where you're going, the enemies also can't see where they're going, so it's either sneak attack. Or a 4 could have it so the way the Reaper, this very powerful boss character that will annihilate your party if it reaches you, will pop up more frequently. Or maybe there'll be more of these little enemies called Gold Hands that you want to kill because you get more EXP, like way more XP for killing them, but they're hard to kill because they constantly dodge. There are unique quirks to Tartarus to keep things more fresh. Not the fact that in Reload, the level design of Tartarus does alter based on what section of Tartarus you're in, making it so it can be more difficult or easier to navigate through while you're attacking shadows or being chased by a shadow. So there is stuff to add variety to Tartarus, even though it's the only dungeon in the game. I like Tartarus because it just feels like a comfy place to just pretty much do combat, level up, and infuse new personas in the Velvet Room, which I have not yet mentioned. God damn it, what's wrong with me? The Velvet Room is a location where they can visit during Tartarus, but also during the day, which allows you to fuse personas, send them to Compendium. Different way to use personas, and our Arcana Burst I mentioned before with social links allows you to pretty much get more EXP for that persona depending on how high your rank is, which is definitely helpful with these personas, and also something you really want to do. Other mechanics added in from Reload to Tartarus is the fact that now major and minor Arcana cards will appear at certain points of the story. These cards will appear during the end battle shuffle time, and will either grant you some buffs while you're in Tartarus, which has more EXP, or the all-out attack damage being higher, or it can even gives you the stat buffs or persona you have equipped, or my favorite one is the one that makes it to where you can infuse a persona that is 5 levels higher than the current level the main character is at. So these things are very useful, but RNG can flat out hate your guts and make it so the cards you want won't pop up. And you also get a bonus if you get all the cards within one run of Tartarus, so it definitely incentivizes you prioritize staying Tartarus for a while. And now you also this game, you also have Twilight Fragments. Twilight Fragments can be used to open up these special chests that will have these, well, in theory, should be better items, but you can also use this clock that will heal your entire party to full HP. It will only cost 7 Twilight Fragments. For love of God, don't use this. It's a scam. Don't do it. It's not worth it. There are other ways to recover your SP and HP. Please don't waste Twilight Fragments on this clock. Don't do it. Monad was this area within Tartarus that wasn't in the original Persona 3 and FPS Unavoidable versions, where essentially after doing a certain requirement to unlock it, it's basically this like super powerful area full of these way powerful enemies that made it great for leveling up. It's a very short section of Tartarus, so it made it very good for leveling up and getting your party more powerful. But here in Reload, Monad essentially randomly pops up on Forth and Tartarus, and will have more powerful enemies and better rewards. So now it's trying to be more evenly balanced, to where it's more spread throughout the game, rather than just be primarily this one end game location that you want to do only then and there. The downside is it kind of makes it more difficult to get level ups during the end game, especially since you don't really have any good enemies to pretty much try and get level ups from, aside from, you know, killing the Reaper, which gives you a ridiculous amount of XP. But it is new thing added in, and when you're at the end of a Tartarus section, there's a special Monad floor which will have, once again, powerful enemies, but also have even more rare items. It will even come with minor arcana cards that you can add to your shovel time section, and we'll also add in these little lore bits about Tartarus. So it's definitely something you definitely want to do. And the plus side is, when it comes to the ones at the end of a Tartarus block, these do not vanish if you decide to skip it and go to the next floor. The ones that randomly pop up on a floor, those will vanish, but this one will stay as long as you want. That's something I really like. Now, here's also something I'm a bit iffy about because of Persona 3 Reload, is the fact that there's still no way for characters outside the party to get XP, so it means characters will always lag behind. And even worse, if you decide to do Tartarus right off the bat, there could be a party member who joins, and they will join at the recommended level for that Tartarus block, meanwhile you already did it, you already left the character in the dust. It's kind of a weird way of handling it. There is kind of a comeback mechanic in the shape of the Grand Clock, which is essentially, if you use Twilight Fragment throughout Tartarus run, there is a random chance that this special door will open and will give you to the Grand Clock. I can't remember, Great Clock. This clock will essentially allow you to have two characters try and come closer to the main character's level. It does not immediately rocket them to the same level, because I've had some only give them 11 levels, there's still a lot, but it does try to mitigate characters being lower level, and in order to get the level ups, you have to use that character at least once in battle, so all incentivizes using more of your party members. So there is something to help you try to use more characters, but it just feels so weird. There's no way background characters to pretty much level up without being in a party. It kind of just makes it so your character level is always uneven. And you may always have that one character you don't really end up using as a result. It's just something I don't really like about it. But since the Grand Clock only helps two characters, and you have way more party members by the time that thing shows up. Now, throughout the game, you also have these full moon operations, as the name suggests, won't happen during the full moon. And while I do like what they did with Tartarus and how they try to make it grander and expanded, I kind of wish they did the same for these full moon operations, because these locations have opportunity to try and have like a more varied dungeon, another dungeon location to do it in, but they're still kind of the same as they were in Rich Persona 3, so they're kind of like frankly short and not much to them. So I've honestly preferred it if they actually also expanded more with those gameplay wise, like done more with those, so that way people with a complaint of Tartarus is not interesting would also have something else to look forward to. But for this game, it's just mostly Tartarus your main thing. I love how they expanded it, so I am satisfied. I really like how I handle Tartarus, but I know for many people, they generally think having Tartarus being an only dungeon kind of is a negative towards the game. I feel it's just a comfy pace to level up, fuse new personas, rinse and repeat. I just really like how they handle Tartarus. The biggest negatives I have for this version of Persona 3 is honestly not major, but there are some things I don't like the fact that the awakening scene for the main character, like it looks very good, amazing, but just like I don't know, just the sound design for it, it's just kind of off. Like the sound effects for it doesn't really have that same level of impact the original did, because animation wise, it looks gorgeous. There's also some scenes that are slightly different in a way. Like, I mean, middle school, like this, like most people won't even give a crap kind of thing, but I notice it and it bugs the hell out of me. Like, there's this one scene early in the game where something happens to this person on the street, but in the original game it was an anime cutscene where you saw what happened, but instead now it's more of an off-screen thing. I kind of would prefer to just show it on screen again, especially with how great the game looks and how great the 3 anime cutscenes do look in this game. So I will wish for that as well. There's also this one cutscene I played at the start of the game, which transitions from the main character working in the street, like all the stuff happening in the street, cut to different characters. This opening bit, I would have honestly preferred, like, this scene just feels like this is the one thing. And there's one thing in the game at a point that's like, this is completely screwed up. This is the one thing. But this is the highest of my complaints. That means I have very little to complain about when it comes to Reload, really. That means I have very little to actually complain about, and that's how much I just enjoyed this version of Persona 3 and feel like they did a very great job remaking it. Like, overall, Persona 3 Reload not only became my favorite version of Persona 3, but it's also now my favorite Persona game. Persona 3, FES, and Portable, both of them are tied, as my favorite Persona game, but now this is my favorite version of Persona 3, so I wish I could have included the answer. You wait right there! Hold on a second, I'm getting to you! And would have also included the female protagonist, which I know Alice has said is because of the fact that they only have a certain amount of time and budget to make the game. I understand the business behind it. I'm not going to be one of those people who basically says Alice the Evil Corporation not including a female protagonist, but I still would have really liked the protagonist because I liked her route in Portable and would have preferred it if we had both in this game, right? I'd have like everything included. Now back to the thing I shoved down to the floor. The fact that Alice announced an expansion pass for Persona 3 Reload, and Wave 1 is crap, Wave 2 is crap, Wave 3 is the only thing worthwhile. But the fact that you have to buy the expansion pass, the whole thing, can't buy it separately, it's kind of late to me. I've seen some people complain about the fact that it's a buy it period, which honestly, I isn't buying it, but the fact that the price tag for it, and I do understand, also want to agree with those people who say the fact that people who bought the digital deluxe edition or bought the $200 I guess edition, which I did, should have at least gotten that thing and included for free, considering the price that you paid on something to have all the DLC. So I would have definitely preferred that, but also to feel the missed opportunity for expansion pass to be like imagine the expansion pass was like, oh, Wave 1 is Vision Quest, so at the Portable, which is like the Super Boss variants of the full operation bosses, and then you had the Super Boss at the end. So that could have been like, for example, Wave 1. Wave 2 could have then been the answer / episode I guess. Like, that could have been a thing, and then Wave 3, final one, could have been the FMC. This probably would have effectively altered the timeline for this expansion pass. Probably also the price tag too while we're at it. But I just feel like it would have been a better idea. Just like Vision Quest, the answer, FMC. That would have been like a more ideal expansion pass to me. But the way it is now, only one thing is worth it, and it doesn't come out till like September of 2024. Meanwhile, they announced this thing like a goddamn month after the game release. So it's like, god damn it. Now, I would say I recommend Persona 3 Reload at the full price of $70, especially since, you know, I don't feel that way for, like, most games that are, like, $70. Like, I can't think of any game right now that actually justifies that price $70. But nowadays, I see the price go for, like, $50 to $55. That is a very good price tag for Persona 3 Reload. And mind you, for some people, it'll still be like calculate the math. Also, the fact that, you know, you have to calculate the price of the expansion pass, you want the answer. So, kind of a thing. Like, some people say, oh, Persona 3 Reload is actually a $100+ game because of the expansion pass. Which, I don't know, I feel like people don't use that logic for other games. Like, no one says Persona 5 costs, like, over $100 because you just have to have all the DLC. But no, I feel like that's a fair argument. By the way, $5 range is going forward right now. Definitely a great speed spot. Definitely a perfect place to jump on Persona 3 Reload. This game's already done fantastic according to Atlas. And hey, that means, Atlas, you can do something Persona 1 to an instant to a turn punishment. Come on, they're high up in the poll. Come on, give me the opportunity. Come on, opportunity isn't knocking. Come on, Atlas, come on. Give them some more love. Give them a chance to be happy. Give the fans a chance to be happy. Oh, granted, the fans of those games are kind of happy with how Persona 3 Reload does include more Easter eggs and references to the first Persona games, which is very cool and very like what they really like the fact that they had more nods to those games. Very well done. Either way, So I gotta say Persona 3 Reload, been your favorite Persona game. Hopefully that will convince you, and if not, oh, you can say why. You can say what? You can say why you're not interested in Persona 3 Reload. Anyway, good day.